Um, I'm Dr. Renese Garcia. I'm up in Northwest Louisiana. I got the first device around the middle of December, and the first person I used it on was myself. I've been suffering with the most painful medical condition known to science, reflex sympathetic dystrophy, more commonly known as complex regional pain syndrome. Um, Normally, the problem with this disease, this pain disease, occurs in the front part of the spine at the ganglion, but mine is non-sympathetically mediated, so it's lodged in my brain. So the first thing I did was I used the device on my head. That night, I slept for 8 hours, and I haven't slept. I've had this disease for 20 plus years. I haven't slept 8 hours in probably close to 40 years. So sleeping for 8 hours was just unbelievable. It was amazing. It was wonderful. It was such a treat. Uh, I've got pain in both my legs. I've been using it. I've been doing the full protocol and then using it specifically on my legs, especially on the three in toes on my left foot that I crushed 3 years ago while adjusting someone on a hydraulic table. They've been in so much pain, burning, and aching for 3 years. And in less than 3 minutes of putting this device on my toes, they stopped hurting and the feeling came back. So that was pretty wild, just personally. I used this device on my office manager. I had been treating her for 6 months for a wrist problem. She couldn't make a fist with her wrist, and it was in pain all the time. She was constantly wrapping it and icing it. I could adjust it. I could adjust her neck, her elbow, her shoulder, and get her out of pain, but she still couldn't make a fist, and the pain would come back within a few days. I used the device on her. The feeling came back. The pain was gone. She was able to make a fist. And I never treated that problem again. I treated it one time and the problem just went away. I've got so many patient stories. Probably the most remarkable one would have to be the one. This lady is in her 40s and she has been obese all of her life, but she got a stomach sleeve couple of years ago. She's just been melting pounds since I started treating her, and has lost about 150 now to date over the course of about 28 months or so. Because of the overweight, she had type 2 diabetes and was non-insulin dependent. But when I met her, she had already had COVID, recovered from that, but the drugs they used to treat her damaged her kidneys, and she was on hemodialysis at home 5 times a week. 5 times. Dialysis is no fun, and to have to do that practically every day, I can't even imagine. Still has kids at home. I treated her on a Thursday. I treated her back where her kidneys were, and I treated around. I left this part out. She had a wound on her foot that was 6 months old, still the size of a quarter. Her foot was red and swollen. She was limping and couldn't wear regular shoes on that foot. So when I treated her back where her kidneys are, and I treated the wound, I treated around it, never go over an open wound. So I treated around it. I saw her the following Thursday, and during that time, she had been to both her nephrologist and her wound care specialist. The other part I left out, she had gotten hyperbaric treatment to try to help that wound for 2 months, and it had been 2 months since she had had it. It didn't do hardly any good for her at all. So when she saw her nephrologist and her wound care specialist, and then came back a week later after I had treated her and came back, the wound had closed. It actually appeared almost as if someone had done inside sutures on it or sealed it with Dermabond. It was just a perfect straight line where the wound had closed. And her kidney numbers were so much better. that the doctors were talking about taking her off dialysis. She's already only doing dialysis at home twice a week now. So she could get off dialysis. And I don't know what else to give credit for that other than the treatment that she got with the terahertz device.
Well, again, the terahertz
there's a bunch of other stories, but those are the most remarkable ones.
Yeah. Again, the terahertz device is not a medical device. It is a frequency device. It applies the frequency, and then the body knows how to automatically fix itself. So look, we have tens of thousands of these stories all over the world, you know, and we have had several. This would be the third doctor we interview. How long have you been a chiropractor, if you don't mind me asking?
32 years this month.
Wow. Okay. So, and how many patients would you say you have treated in total with the device? Can you show the device if you don't mind?
Oh, this is the device. And beware of copies. Amazon has got devices that look exactly like this, minus the word price. They look exactly like this.
And they don't do nothing.
No, they do. No, because they don't cover the gap. So when I explain to patients how it works, and you've done a great job with the disclaimer, the way I explain it, this device delivers between 2 and 17 terahertz. And that's what makes it so different. That's what made the science behind what they were able to achieve with this so special, because a healthy living cell operates at a terahertz of between 6 and 11. Diseased, injured cells are well below that. You can, a guy named Rife back in the 50s put enough lenses, he was an optician, put enough lenses together to see a cell close enough, way before electron microscopy, to see a cell close enough to see how it vibrated. And he saw that diseased and injured cells were sluggish. They didn't vibrate the same as a healthy living cell. So his story is completely different, but we've known that for years. So when this device gets to something diseased or injured, it basically, I use the word synchronize. I used to use the word harmonize, but that refers to sound and not frequency. So it basically brings the level of the diseased, injured cell's frequency up to that of a healthy living cell. And since structure and function, anatomy and physiology, the way something looks and the way something behaves are so closely related, if you make a cell's function that of a healthy living cell, then how is it going to operate? It's going to operate like a healthy living cell. We've got cells in our body dying and needing to be replaced all the time. Every cell dies at a different rate. So when those cells are operating as healthy and living, they're doing the job of taking in nutrients and getting out toxins the way they should be. And that's where this device also comes in terms of drinking structured water. You want me to talk about that?
Please, by all means.
Okay. So a water molecule, most people know H2O, 2 hydrogens, 1 oxygen. Basically, that arrangement is for the 2 hydrogens to be here and the 1 oxygen here. And they're almost in a pyramidal or triangular configuration. Now, keep in mind, that is not a static arrangement. Those little bonds in the hydrogen are constantly pulsing and moving. But basically, their average alignment is that of 2 here, 1 here, a triangle. So when you put a bunch of molecules together, they cluster in their triangular pyramidal form. It's a cluster. When water is treated with the terahertz device, something really cool happens, especially if you put in just a pinch of salt or some trace minerals. It can be table salt. Himalayan sea salt is better. And what that does is it provides the water with more ions. And when the frequency hits the water, it actually stretches the hydrogen bonds such that even though they're pulsing and moving constantly in and out of arrangement slightly. Instead of that arrangement being more consistently averaged as a triangle, the arrangement is more consistently averaged with the two hydrogen bonds way together on this end and the oxygen over here, so that it's referred to as linear. It's not a perfect straight line, but it's a lot more linear than it is clustered. So that when we drink the water and the water gets into our fluid and gets to the cells, water normally travels across the membrane through something called an aquapore, just a little passage in the cell membrane. Well, when water isn't structured, it gangs up around the cell membrane in a cluster and waits its turn to go in. When water is structured and more linear, the molecules are more linear, then they're more easily able to just zip right through into the pore, through the pore into the cell, and do the same thing getting out. So they superhydrate the cells, structured water does, and they also help get the toxins out more readily because it's easier for the water and its accompanying toxin to get out and get taken out where it needs to through your organs of excretion, which are the large intestine, your urinary system, and your skin. A lot of people don't realize that the skin is an excretory organ. It's the largest of our organs. Most people don't even know skin is an organ.